Hello again. I am back, talking about Percy Jackson. If you want to see my thoughts on the first 3 books, I recommend checking out my previous video. If you don't, I don't really care. Anyway, today I'm going to be looking at the last 2 books, starting with the Battle of the Labyrinth. So Percy is visiting this new school and orientation is going great. Then these vampire things show up and they're like, hey, we're gonna frame you for murder. And one of them blows up. Luckily, Percy escapes and meets up with Annabeth, and they both go to Camp Half-Blood to find the camp living in fear of attack from Luke and Kronos. But luckily, thanks to the magical borders, the camp is safe. So they're fine, as long as nobody finds a secret entrance to the camp. Hey, I found a secret entrance to the camp. They find an entrance to the mystical labyrinth that Luke could use to get in with Kronos' forces. So Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson enter the labyrinth to stop Luke from the inside. Grover also comes along to find the wild god Pan he's been looking for a while. In the labyrinth, they encounter such things as a guy with a bunch of hands, a sphinx, and a ranch with red cows. In the ranch, they meet Nico D'Angelo, the son of Hades, who still holds a grudge against Percy for allowing his sister to die. After Percy beats this 3-bodied guy, Nico stays at the ranch, and Percy and the gang go on their journey. Eventually, Percy and Annabeth have to split up with Tyson and Grover to go their separate ways. Percy ends up blowing up, crashing into the ground, and finding himself in the mystical land of Ogygia, where he heals up and goes back to help his friends. He decides to acquire the aid of Rachel Elizabeth Dare, a mortal who can see through mystical illusions. She also appeared for like 5 seconds in the last book, but that's not important right now. So Percy, Annabeth, and Rachel go back in the labyrinth to find the labyrinth's creator, Daedalus. When they find him, they're like, hey, don't help Luke. And he's like, yeah, I already did. And then Nico comes in, captured by this Ghost King guy working with Luke. And he's all like, I'm the Spirit Lord thingy. And Nico's all like, nah, it me. So there's this big fight that ends with the group flying out a window on wings because why not? They soon find out that Kronos actually stuffed his consciousness into Luke's body. But they get hit in the eye with a hairbrush, so everything's fine now. The group then meets up with Tyson and Grover, and together they find the wild god Pan. He gives advice to the group before dissolving and dying. Returning to camp, the group prepares for a battle against Kronos' forces. After a long fight, the monsters retreat. Nico leaves camp, wanting to find out about his past. Then Percy has his 15th birthday with a warning from his father Poseidon and an idea of how to beat Luke from Nico. So Battle of the Labyrinth. This book's got a lot going on. Percy feels conflicted with his life, whether it comes to relationships or the fact that he might once leave his life in Camp Half-Blood behind. Annabeth feels guilty for allowing Luke to be taken over by Kronos. After witnessing Pan's death, Grover feels pressure to carry on Pan's legacy. Tyson becomes an inspiration to others that helps them get through their troubles. Nico learns to get over his grudge against Percy and become a helpful member of the group. Daedalus' tragic backstory is also intriguing. And finally, the Last Olympian. So Percy and Rachel are having a nice drive on the beach until Charles Beckendorf, son of the god Hephaestus by the way, shows up on the winged horse Blackjack. Beckendorf tells Percy to get on and be a part of the war for Olympus. They fly over Luke's cruise ship full of monsters. After they get on, they get captured by Kronos' forces, and Beckendorf sacrifices himself to blow up the ship. Percy survives and finds himself in his father Poseidon's domain in the sea, where there is a war going on between him and the sea titan Oceanus. Percy then goes back to camp and learns about the great prophecy that explains how he could either save or bring down the gods. He also learns that the creature known as Typhon is going to destroy Olympus with 5 days for him to be stopped. Percy decides to go with Nico's plan to bathe in the river Styx, which gives him invulnerability to most of his body. With his newfound power, he joins the rest of the campers in New York City to defend Olympus. I should probably mention that Olympus is located in New York because something Western civilization, who cares? It's battle time. With the help of Talia and the hunters, the campers take on waves upon waves of monsters. The Titan Prometheus is like, hey, it'd be cool if you back down, man. Percy's all like, nah. So the monster waves keep coming, led by Titans. Also, a giant flying pig shows up, so that's interesting. When it seems like the enemy forces are closing in on the campers, a bunch of centaurs show up and frickin' annihilate some of the army. Percy finds new troubles and Rachel coming to tell him of her visions. Then Kronos releases a snake dragon thing called a Draken. The creature appears too strong, but then the children of Ares the war god show up to help, led by what appears to be Clarice. But then, when she's hit by Draken poison, she's revealed to be Selena Beauregard, a daughter of Aphrodite and the girlfriend of Charlie Beckendorf, the guy that blew up earlier. She sacrifices herself because she feels guilty for Beckendorf's death, with her being a spy for Kronos. Percy goes up to Olympus and finds Rachel, who tells him about her powers of foresight. Kronos and his minions surround the entrance to Olympus, but with the help of Hades, they get pushed back. Kronos runs into Olympus, followed by Percy, Annabeth, and Grover. Kronos and the group fight while the other gods fight Typhon. Poseidon, with his army, ultimately helps defeat Typhon. Luke also regains control of his body and stabs himself, killing himself, subduing Kronos, and putting an end to the battle. The gods give Grover the status of the Lord of the Wild and give Annabeth permission to be an architect in rebuilding Olympus, something she dreamed to do. Additionally, the gods give Percy one gift of his choice, and he decides to ask for the recognition of abandoned gods and demigods since they were the ones who aided in this Kronos uprising. Rachel becomes a speaker of prophecies known as the Oracle. Percy and Annabeth confess their feelings for each other, and they all go home at the end of the summer. Last Olympian. Pretty great finale. Percy has to make many tough decisions in this book, which he chooses with his belief of the right thing to do. Annabeth sees through her doubts and feels confident about herself. Despite being relegated to a side character for most of the series, Selena's acts of bravery inspire the main characters in their goals. Luke completes his character arc and becomes an example of the dangers of abandonment, one of the major themes throughout the books. So that was the Percy Jackson series. A really nice set of books that play with tropes really well. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and lick and all those other things you want to do. Until next time, bye.